Was he really okay all this time? Or was that dazzling smile just a carefully rehearsed mask when Jin of BTS walked into the luxurious JW Marriott Ballroom in Jongno, Seoul? All eyes turned to him. Dressed in a tailored charcoal gray suit with a navy tie that glinted under the soft chandelier light, he radiated charm. Cameras clicked, fans gasped, and even the seasoned media professionals in the room paused for a second, seemingly mesmerized. On that Tuesday afternoon, as Jin took his place beside Kian84 and actress Ji-yoon to promote Netflix's Kian's Bizarre B&B, there was an air of effortless confidence. But what no one could have predicted was that beneath that well-practiced composure lay a truth so vulnerable, it would silence the room just hours later. The press conference began like any other high-profile celebrity event. Polished, lighthearted, filled with laughter. Jin cracked jokes with Kian84, shared amusing behind-the-scenes tidbits about their trip to Ullingdo, and at one point, even drew a soft chuckle from Ji-yoon, who rarely let her guard down in front of the press. His tone was warm. His words were measured. But if one looked closely, and some fans would later claim they did, there was a moment. Just a flicker. A subtle twitch at the corner of his smile when someone asked, "How do you handle the pressure of always being perfect in the public eye?" He paused. Just a second too long, then smiled and said, "Well, Army keeps me going." It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. The moment that shattered the illusion came later, long after the press had filed their reports and the polished promotional event had wrapped. As Jin made his way to a private interview scheduled with a Netflix production liaison for supplementary content, something unexpected happened. Unscripted, unedited, raw, and it began with a sigh. The production team, initially preparing B-roll footage, caught it on tape. Jin leaned back in his chair after answering a question about his favorite memory from the Ullingdo shoot. The producer, off camera, asked casually, "Is it ever tiring to always smile for everyone?" Jin's eyes, usually bright and focused, dropped. And then, the confession came. Not dramatic, not rehearsed, but trembling at the edges. "To be honest, sometimes I'm scared I'll let everyone down." That single sentence sent ripples through every corridor of that Netflix team, many of whom were not die-hard BTS followers. But they understood vulnerability when they heard it. And more than that, they understood the weight of those words coming from someone who had been carrying the expectations of millions on his back since his early 20s. It didn't take long before a staff member, either out of compassion or perhaps miscalculated professionalism, leaked a portion of the video online. And that's when the world changed. At least, the world of Army did. The clip spread like wildfire across Twitter, TikTok, and every fan forum in between. At first, many were confused. Was this an official promo? Was this real? But the more they watched, the more they recognized the sincerity in Jin's voice. He wasn't acting. He wasn't promoting. He was breaking. "I always try to smile because that's what they expect. But there are nights I can't sleep, just thinking, what if they wake up one day and decide I'm not enough anymore?" Thousands of comments flooded under the leaked clip. "Jin, you'll never be not enough. He's always been the strong one. I didn't know he felt this way. I feel like crying. I've smiled because of his smile for years. I didn't realize it might have been hiding his pain." One user, a longtime Army from Brazil, posted a now viral tweet. "His pain feels like ours. The irony is he thought he had to hide it to protect us, when we only ever wanted to protect him." In the hours that followed, the truth behind Jin's smile became the #1 trending topic in over 20 countries. Netflix scrambled to respond, unsure whether to address the leak or incorporate the vulnerable moment into official promo. Big Hit Music issued a statement, subtle yet telling, thanking fans for their overwhelming support and understanding, while requesting privacy and empathy for Jin as he continues sharing himself with the world. But the story didn't end there. In a sudden move that nobody expected, Jin himself took to Weverse. No flashy images. No filters. Just a plain white background and black text. "I wasn't planning to say what I said, but maybe it's good that I did." He went on to describe the anxiety he sometimes feels, not as BTS's Jin, but simply as Kim Seokjin, a man in his 30s who sometimes wonders if the world will allow him to just be. A man who used to cry in the dorm bathroom quietly so his younger members wouldn't hear. A man who felt like he had to be the funny one, the light one, the one who made the heaviness disappear. Even when the heaviness was crushing him too, the response was overwhelming. Not only from fans, but also fellow idols and public figures who shared similar sentiments. Several other K-pop idols reposted Jin's message with comments of solidarity. A well-known actor wrote, "You spoke what many of us have buried for years. Thank you, Hyung." A famous singer commented, "I used to think being vulnerable made me weak. You reminded me it's the opposite." The confession changed more than public perception. It redefined the narrative around strength in the K-pop industry. For years, the world had idolized the perfection of BTS, celebrating their bulletproof image and unbreakable bond. But Jin's quiet unraveling at that Netflix event did something far more profound than any stadium concert or world tour ever could. It reminded fans that their idols are human, and in doing so, it shattered the illusion that strength must always look stoic. What followed was a cascade of change. Fan projects transformed from celebration-based campaigns to emotional support messages. Entire threads appeared online where armies opened up about their own mental health struggles, crediting Jin for making them feel seen. Psychological wellness hashtags that once trended during Mental Health Awareness Month started trending again, with Jin's name attached. Psychologists, journalists, and social researchers began writing think pieces on the Jin effect, analyzing how few honest words in a quiet moment could create a tidal wave of empathy across the globe. One researcher wrote, "In a world addicted to curated perfection, authenticity is now the loudest rebellion." And rebel he did, quietly, gently, powerfully. Even Netflix couldn't ignore the seismic reaction. They released an official clip from the Ulleungdo shoot where Jin talks about watching the sea in silence at 3 a.m., saying, "Sometimes I look at the ocean and feel small, but maybe being small is okay." That line? It became a tagline, not just for the show, but for a movement. Being small is okay trended on merchandise, on banners at fan meetings, on journals, tattoos, posters in college dorms, even as a screen-printed message on a Times Square billboard paid for by ARMY. And what did Jin do amid the chaos, the love, the tears? He smiled again. This time not because he had to, but because, for once, it didn't feel like a performance, it felt like relief. And as one fan summarized in a teary vlog reaction, "Jin's smile broke us. But then it healed us too." Clips from Jin's past interviews, long buried in the archives of ARMY memory, began resurfacing. Fans meticulously dug through hours of BTS footage, variety shows, concert behind the scenes, Bangtan bombs, and even fan-taken fan cams, searching for signs. It was as if the confession had unlocked a new lens, one that reframed everything they thought they knew about Jin. One video in particular resurfaced and struck a chord. It was from 2017, during BTS's Wings tour. Jin, in a quiet backstage corner, was caught on camera holding a small mirror, adjusting his hair repeatedly before sighing and putting it down. "Do I look tired?" he had asked a staff member, who offhandedly responded, "A little, but the fans won't notice." The smile Jin gave after that response, fans realized, was the same smile he wore at the Netflix event. Beautiful, practiced, and now, heartbreakingly familiar. Another fan found a moment in the 2018 Burn the Stage documentary where Jin hesitated before going on stage, rubbing his hands together nervously. When RM walked over and asked if he was okay, Jin had simply nodded. "Just cold," he had said. But now, in retrospect, many believed it was anxiety, masked once again with a joke. What became clear, over and over again, was this: Jin had been carrying more than just stage responsibilities. He had been holding up the emotional temperature of a group that, while undeniably bonded, was under unfathomable pressure. From global interviews to cultural diplomacy, from sold-out tours to breaking chart records, BTS had become something more than a group. They were a symbol, a standard, a phenomenon.